Hi FlossTube Stitchers. I am dedicating tonight's video to my Nana. That would be my dad's mother. Her name was Sarah, and I was thinking about her this past week because her birthday is July 19th. She was born in 1907 and she lived to be just a few months shy of age 95. So I take that as a good sign. Both of my grandmothers lived into their 90s and were, pretty active until they ended up in a nursing home. Both times it was after a fall. It was precipitated by a fall, but they only were in the nursing home for a couple of years and they lived independently up until then. So I'm looking at that as a wink into my future that I could have, let's say, 25 years left of stitching time. So yay. So I always associate strawberries with Nana. Her kitchen was black and red and white, and the red parts were strawberries and cherries. So she had glassware and dishes and a cookie jar and that sort of thing. So her decor was strawberries. But she was also a seamstress. So I associate the strawberry to her in both ways. If you think about the strawberry emery that's usually attached to a tomato pincushion. So I love strawberries because of that. And I also like the taste of strawberries, but the strawberry shape is really interesting, and I just like the way it honors both parts of her home life and her work life. So for years, she worked as a seamstress for a high-end women's clothing store called Emil E Otto's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And I want to say she worked there for a couple decades because that's all I can remember her ever doing up until the last few years. And they loved her. She was really fast, so she got work done and made them money fast. She wasn't necessarily the neatest seamstress, which is funny because when I learned to sew, I really wanted everything to be perfect. But then again, I wasn't doing it as a job, and I didn't have a deadline, a timeline, anything like that. So anyway, she was really good at her job and they loved her. So I have a lot of strawberry things to show you. The first one is a vintage stitch that I acquired after I bought my partner out. So I don't remember stitching this. I'm pretty sure she stitched it. And this is Strawberries by Curtis Bowinger. It was one of those little 50-cent cards, if you remember back in the day. A lot of designers used to do designs that way. And I know there's a lot of glare, but hopefully you're not seeing too much of the background. But I just loved his stylized look to things and his brief color palette, if you will. I liked that he got a lot of detail in things without needing a lot of colors or partial stitches or back stitching. So I was really glad that I ended up with this one. I believe she stitched it, but it was paid for by the shop, and so I inherited it. And on the back, best wishes, Curtis Bowinger, October 7th, 1995. So anyway, that's I like getting this out and putting it with the rest of my strawberry things. And then the next piece is stitching, but it's not stitching. So let's see if you can tell. This is Virtue Sampler by Shelly Hronec of Hillside Samplings from back in the day. I don't know how old this is, but it's not the actual stitching. It's a photograph of the stitching. And what happened was, one year when she was getting ready for the Nashville Needlework Market, she was not pleased with the way the photos came out for this new sampler that she was releasing. Probably there was no time to redo it. And so she thought that she would take a picture of her stitching and print it on heavy-duty cardstock And for any shop owner that bought 12 copies of the chart, they would get the print that they could professionally frame and hang up in the store as a model. And you know what? We had this hanging for years farther up on the wall, and I really don't think anyone could tell that it wasn't the actual stitching. Maybe they thought it had glass over it because it had maybe just a little bit of a sheen to it, but I just love hanging this in my house because I didn't have to stitch it. And I really, I liked it because it had strawberries on it, and there were some specialty stitches somewhere along the line. It's a little blurred because it's just a photograph, but there's some satin stitch, and I think there was some queen stitch and French knots. And anyway, I think it's really cool, and I love having it with my strawberry things. And I looked it up, and it's still available from, well, I didn't actually try to put it in a shopping cart, but when I researched it, it looked like the site Emily's, em-li.com, emily's.com. They might have bought out the rest of her stock when she retired. So try looking up Virtue Sampler by Hillside Samplings, and it came up in a number of different places, so it might still be available if you're interested. This is something I stitched as part of a freebie February, and I realized recently that I had never photographed it after it was framed, so I've never shown it on social media. So this should show up before the end of the summer if you follow me on Facebook and or Instagram, because I just couldn't believe I showed it on the day that I stitched it during freebie February. But this is by Needlework Press, and it's on their website, and I loved the little red fillet that we put in there, and it's just a little bit fancy, a little bit old-fashioned, and I stitched it with 2 strands on probably 32 count vintage country mocha. So anyway, I just love the strawberry shape. I just think it's really interesting, and of course I love one color pieces as well. So that's my, I forget what it was called. I think it might just be called strawberries. All right, and then this one I have shown. This is from JBW Designs, French Country Strawberry, and I did put the French for strawberry at the bottom. And I stitched this on Legacy or Heritage or something like that from Picture This Plus. It's one of the more greenish versions of the neutral. It looks more green in the picture than it actually is. But I thought it was an interesting piece, and I wanted Bonnie to leave a little extra fabric showing to be able to see what that looked like. So this is actually 2 frames and a fillet. And I just love how it makes it a little more sophisticated. So after I stitched this, I don't know how much later, but I came across, this has only happened a couple times, I came across this in my unfinished pile. I had already stitched it, but I had stitched it on a completely different color fabric with different colored threads, and it looks different. And I remembered stitching it after, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a discoloration in the fabric up there, and this is the original edge of the yardage that we got in. And when we got to this part, I thought, well, nobody's ever going to stitch that. So when we got to the end, I cut this hunk off and took it home. And that's why this is not fully centered, because I was trying to avoid this. But this stain was on the fabric. I don't know how it happened. To me, it kind of looks like a burn mark. So I don't know how they get their fabric ready for shipping after they cut it off the bolts. Maybe they do press it, and so it hasn't seeped in more. I haven't tried to wash it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think I'm just going to end up finishing it as a round, and it'll get cut off. So once again, French Country Strawberry. All right, and then I wanted to show, I know I showed this when it came in new a couple months ago, but I really need to do this one sometime in the future because it shows a strawberry emery and some other sewing accessories, spools of thread, and then it shows the strawberries on a vine. So it's got everything all in one. So I'm gonna have to do that one, and I'm gonna have to do the accessories as well. But anyway, this morning I was playing around a little bit with my living room bookshelf, and I can't put it closer or you see too much in the background, but you can see the Curtis Bowinger and the JVW, and then the needlework press on the top row, and then in the middle there's some candles and other decor, and my Nana's strawberry glasses in the background. There's a couple Longaberger strawberry baskets, and then the bottom shelf has a, sorry, I'll try to get it up close. It has like a little bin of like felt and wool and fabric strawberries. Some of them I made in classes and some of them I purchased. So anyway, it's the first time I ever did it on the white bookshelf. I usually do it on the dining room hutch or on my Nana's desk that's in my entryway. But real quick this morning, I just did that to show them in their home life. Not that they ever go home that often, usually they're here. But anyway, that's that. We did get 9 new models this week, but I only have some of them. And I'm just gonna show you, this was on social media the other day. So this is by Cross Stitch Wonders, and it's called A Year in the Mug series. And this is Carol Leonard's July, but of course she took it home after I photographed it. And she also took home the ones that she had left for the, I think she had August and September done. So she took those home so that she could enjoy them. And she left me with January through June. So I'll show those later when it makes more sense to show those months. But I always like having a little photo shoot and then being able to keep some of them afterwards. So that's a series of new models from Carol, and the books are on order. Okay, then I will show you, I had a finish, but I actually forgot to bring it. So I guess I can't make this bigger. I showed it on Facebook and Instagram the other day, but I did finish my Liberty Bell, and I added the 1776 to it like Sheila did, and then I had done the border and the word in the Black Crow that I talked about. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I don't know how I'm gonna finish it yet, but I think it's really sweet, probably as a small, because I was talking about it, trying to coordinate with some other smalls. Okay, then this is what I've been stitching. So I was going to show you Forever in Peace, and I realized I hadn't put a single stitch in since last I showed you. I think I showed you last Sunday. I didn't work on it at all. I've been mostly working on Bumblebee In. So of course I love it on the black. It looks awesome. It's so pretty. It's so graphic, and I love it. But I know that a lot of people have trouble with black, and I thought for my shop model, well, I had 2 reasons. So because of that, I thought I would do it on a different color. But also, last year we, after 20 years of living in this house, we finally got a backsplash, and it's a navy blue tile. So I wanted to do it on, I wanted to do this on blue fabric. So this is how far I've gotten so far. And I really like the way it looks on the blue. I've always liked blue and yellow together, and I think the daisies, you know, show up really nicely, and I didn't have to change any of the colors, except I was worried about the really tealy. So the really tealy on the original chart is here. It's the top of the doorway, and then it's the center of these flowers, and then there's some individual flowers. And the whole time I was working on it, I avoided the decision of whether to use the really tealy because I didn't think it was going to show up like it did on the black. So I auditioned some pinks, and actually that's all the same pink, because when I laid 4 to 6 skeins on top of the fabric, there was a clear winner in my mind. Some of them looked too dull and one just looked too peach. So anyway, I decided on one of them, but then, you know, I thought it took away from the white and the yellow, so I wasn't sure I liked it. And then when I added the yellow center, I really didn't like it. I thought it made the pink look peachy, orangey, I don't know. So I decided that I was going to stitch the flower the way it was supposed to be, with the yellow on the outside and a blue center. I don't know what flower that's supposed to be, right? So I thought it made sense to do it in a different color and do yellow as the center. But anyway, all of these flowers have the Really Tealy in the center where it's completely covered. And so I think it still shows up. I think you can still see that. The only thing I might do is they have it at the top and bottom of the posts that hold the sign. But why would that be blue? Why wouldn't I just do that in the same dark gray that's in the rest of the sign? So I think I'm going to change that to the dark gray. But I did want to show you that I started to do a swatch test at the bottom, and that's when I thought, oh, I don't think I even need to put any of the pinks down there, because I actually think that might work. Actually, no, I didn't do the swatch test, because when I laid them on the fabric, that's what it was. There was a clear winner. But anyway, this idea came from Catherine Yee Cohn, and she had posted in, I don't remember if it was Primrose Cottage or another Facebook group, but she gave credit to the idea for Primrose Cottage stitches. And if you go to their video where they talk about the SAL for Santa's North Pole, is that what it's called? That's where they talk about doing a swatch test if you're going to change the fabric. So I really liked that idea, and I had put that as my Tuesday's tip last week on Facebook and Instagram. But anyway, that's a really good idea. So I think I'm going to take, that's why I left the tails, because I wasn't sure. So I think I'm going to take out the pink and just do all the flowers like that. And then the only other thing I have to decide is whether I'm going to put the black in the bees' bodies, because of course on the original the black fabric shows through. So not sure what I'm going to do there. I think I might just leave it and have them look a little stylized. But anyway, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm motivated because I want to do that bee stitching video in August, and I'm motivated to have this be a part of it. Finished maybe. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk about there. Then, because I couldn't help myself, I wanted to, oh, this is, sorry, this was Catherine's post. And this third color wasn't showing up, and that's what she wanted help with, so that's why she did the swatch test. Okay, then I decided that I needed to start a strawberry, so I started a strawberry design last night, and there were two I was choosing from, Strawberry Patch and Farm Fresh strawberries, and I decided on this one because I really liked the brown box that the strawberries are in. I might do the other one too, but if I only had to pick one, I decided I was going to do this one. And I was going to start with the strawberries, but there's 3 different shades and I only had 1 thread, and I wasn't sure whether the Anchor or Presentia substitutes would match. And since this is computer generated and not actually stitched, I wanted to make sure that all the reds look good together before I started stitching. So I just started with the white. You know me, I like to do the white first. So I used another tip, and this was by Lauralee Cummings, and I believe she put this in the Prairie School. Here, I'll show you her tip first. I think it was in the Prairie Schooler Students Facebook group. So her tip was, when you have a big area to fill in, do a half stitch all the way around the border and then fill it in. So I thought that was a really great idea, because when you do a full stitch all the way around and then fill it in, I just feel like you can tell there's something about the way the threads interact in the hole. So, but only doing a half stitch, you can't even tell. So I thought, ooh, I'm going to use that tip. So I started with the white, and the only place you can still tell I did that is at the bottom, because the rest I already started filling in. I also decided to do because this was a long 40-some stitches to count, I decided to do every 10th thread a cross stitch, which I know a lot of people do that, but I remembered to do it this time. So that's why some of them look lumpy, because those are the full stitch and the other ones are the half stitch. But that really helped. I only made one mistake, and it had nothing to do with the border. I just wasn't paying attention to one of the letters. I just thought that was a really good idea, and that's going to be my Tuesday's tip this coming week, because this is going to be the start of Christmas in July, and she was showing a Santa, so I thought that was an appropriate tip. So this is going swimmingly, and I'm using aged paper 14 count Aida from Color and Cotton, and let me tell you, I love the feel of this Aida. It has a lot of body to it. It hasn't shrunk too much. It's shrunk just enough that I don't think the holes are like super obvious. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of fill in here. So anyway, I really like it. And if I decide to do farm fresh strawberries, I'm going to do it on the same fabric and frame them the same way, or finish them the same way, and have them be companion pieces. So that is my strawberry, because I realized I don't have very many stitched strawberries. For as much as I love my decor, there's not enough stitching in there. Okay, that's that. Okay, and I think that's all the photos I had to show you. And then I'm going to show you some new charts that came in. Not a whole bunch. Let's see. Yes, I did talk about all of that. Okay. For All the Seasons 1 from Erica Michael. So this has 2 seasons in it, and the next one will have the other 2. I love a one-color design. I was thinking of maybe doing this on one piece of fabric. And, you could figure it out now, even though you don't have the other 2, because they'll be identical. But I thought maybe I would just wait till the other one comes out. They did... they're slightly different colors. They did spring on I say they, it's Linda at Erica Michaels. Spring is done on 37 count Russian tea cake, and summer is on 37 aesthetic white legacy linen, all from Access Commodities. So the next time I order from them, which probably will be soon, I will get some more 30. I do have some 37, but not these colors. So anyway, I really like that one. And then this has been on back order for a while from the distributor. So I just got this in, and yes, I want to start these. No, I can't. There's only one more week of July, and next week I probably should stitch something Christmas for my Whip Wednesday. Get out an old whip, I guess, but I really love these. I love the coverlet look to it. I've always liked that theme. All right, and then Deck the Halls from October House. Then Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. She has a lot of stuff in her picture, so I'll try to put this closer so you can see. Mother-Daughter Everlasting Friendship Sampler. And then she has a new series called Words to Stitch By. And the first one is Bloom. And the next one is Stitch. Then from my framer's favorite designer, Stitches by Ethel, there's Garden Friends. And then Val Stuff, Kitty's 4 Seasons. I feel like, yes, this was originally published in 2005 as 4 separate charts for Norden Crafts, and that distributor is long closed. And she redesigned it and changed it up a little bit. I don't know. I don't remember what the originals look like, and she changed some of the colors, and so she freshened it up a little bit. So I think that's really cute. And Imaginating has Hope You Like Cats and Hope You Like Dogs. And then this also, I was going to show you a few weeks ago, but I sold it, so I had to wait till more came in. Patriotic typeface, which has the 3 different designs on it. And I think that's really cute. Definitely going to do the eagle next year. And then Vintage Christmas Alphabet 7 from Jan Hicks. Then fabric. Fabric's always very exciting, right? So I love it when I love it when I see the email right away that I get from the distributor that carries some of these companies, because if I place my order within 5 minutes, there's a good chance I will get some. So I've had this color before, but since R&R is hard to get, I thought I would just show it again. This is 36 Vintage Homespun. So it's just a really nice neutral. It's the renamed Classic Homespun when they went to the Zweigart base. Classic Homespun might have been a little bit darker, but it could be how the linen takes the dye. But it changed a little bit when they changed bases, so they had to change the names. At least that's the story that I heard. So this is just a really nice neutral. And then the next 3 are all from Dames of the Needle. This is 36 Dirty You, so this is a little bit darker and not a crazy over dye. So you don't have to worry about a big splotch being in the middle of one of your designs. So think of it as a really warm raw. And then the next color is, this is also 36, Mad Hatter's Tea Towel. Now this is a little bit messier, really fun. It would be good for a sampler or anything else prim. So I really like that. This has more of a warm, leaning towards, I don't want to say orange because that sounds that's too dramatic, but it's not as brown as the other one. And then the next one, the last one from them is Old Top Hat in 40 count. And that's showing up pretty true. But this is called Vintage Smoky White. This is what the honey design from the Punch Needle magazine from Cherry Hill Stitchery was stitched on. This is just one of the stamped designs from Zweigart. So it's $76 a yard as opposed to $130 or $150. So sometimes these stamped versions from Zweigart are just as good as anything else and saves you a little bit of money. Once you put your design on it, nobody else is going to know that it's stamped because the pattern is big enough that it doesn't, really stand out that much. So that leads me to this one, which I've been thinking about for a while, but I was just really afraid to get it. It's called Vintage Atlantic, and this is 32 Lugana. And I was really afraid of it every time I saw it advertised, but you know what? It's only $63 a yard. So rather than testing something from another dyer that I'm unsure of, this is the less expensive way to go. And I actually really like it. It'd be great for a mermaid. All kinds of beachy themed things would be good. Or if you just like the color turquoise. So Vintage Atlantic. So it's part of the vintage line with the stamped. But they didn't used to do those wild colors. So that is all I have. I actually don't think I have anything to delete out of this video. I don't remember making any glaring errors, and it's already over 30 minutes. So I hope this goes up quickly. Usually it goes up better if it's under 30. Okay, I had to go get the giveaway because I forgot I was doing one this week. So in keeping with the strawberry theme, this is Fraise du Bois, Water Lilies from Caron Collection, Strawberry Parfait from Classic Colorworks, and Strawberry Fields from Weeks Dye Works. And just tell me something about strawberries. Whether you go strawberry picking, whether you like to bake with them, or whether you've stitched any strawberries. There's a lot of strawberry designs out there that I need to put in my rotation. And I almost forgot also to show you the 2 that I have in the background. The bigger picture, Strawberries, is by Filigrim, and it's on loan from Mary Rowland, and actually so is that one. So that's another one of the JBW French Country strawberries, and that's also from Mary. I forgot to talk about that earlier. Okay, so that's it. Now everything on my list is crossed off. Don't forget to send me your bee photos, and stay tuned for Christmas in July week on social media. I'm going to try to show something for Christmas every day. And if all goes well, I'll be back next Sunday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. So that's that. And again, why does this get awkward at the end? Like I don't know how to stop.